Hi, guys. Janelle here, your relationship coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about our inner child. A lot of people don't actually know what our inner child is. And so today, I thought we would talk about it because it's actually really important in our pursuit to understand why we are the way we are and why we behave the way we do. So, for example, do you have old childhood memories that still haunt you? Do you have resentment against someone in your family and you just can't let it go? Do you feel like you're too emotional, or do you have childhood traumas that you feel is like really crippling and getting in the way of your ability to love yourself and love other people in your life? Consider that you are the sum of everything that you've ever been or experienced. It's believed that all trauma starts from childhood, and that the most destructive behavior patterns experienced by us are related to our inner child, and that our lack of conscious understanding of our inner child is what leads to our emotional, behavioral, and relationship difficulties. We may have matured biologically, but often we have not developed psychologically at the same pace, especially if we haven't, we didn't grow up in the best circumstance. Our parents may have not had the best relationship. We didn't have really strong role models for ourselves. And then, throw in trauma and, some of these experiences that we go through in life, it's no wonder that, we are often confused as to, why we act the way we act, and we have no control. The inner child is a concept in psychology created by prominent psychologist thinkers Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. So who is the inner child? Really, the inner child is the part of us that is sensitive, emotional, illogical, reactive, wants to people please, gets hurt easily, driven by the ego, deals with the fight or flight, wants to be heard. That is our inner child. It is the emotional part of us that resides in our subconscious. And because it's in the subconscious, that is why we don't see it. That is why we can't control it. That is why it has the hold on us that it does, because it's not at a conscious level. The things that we can affect are in the conscious level. That's the conscious levels where we make decisions, we're very logical, very action-oriented, very responsible, but it's the fearful little one inside of us that throws tantrums and is irrational at times and gets hurt easily. So the first step to determining and understanding your inner child is to understand your Jungian archetype. So the archetypes are essentially sort of 12, if you want to call, personalities that people through time fall into. And when you can understand this, which one you are, it's much easier to take action, to see the gaps, and to see where you've been neglecting that part of you that is you. So the 12 these are the names. It's the innocent, the sage teacher, the explorer, the rebel, the wizard, the hero, the lover, the jester, the everyman, the caregiver, the ruler, and the creator artist. So those are the 12. If you'd like to know which one you are, please email me. I'll send you the quiz so that you can figure that out. And it'll really help you understand, once you determine which one you are and seeing like how often you neglect that side of you, it'll make sense as to perhaps why you're unhappy, perhaps why you don't feel like your authentic, that you show up as your authentic self, because perhaps you're trying to, quiet that voice and just trying to listen to the logical adult voice and not honoring it. And we have to honor all sides of ourselves. Otherwise, we're just not being authentic. So I want to talk a little bit about trauma. So trauma is what causes our inner child, our authentic self, to feel rejected and hidden, as it can no longer function in the world. Instead, we use coping mechanisms that we pick up from society that sound like, suck it up, don't cry, be strong, get over it, And we use that to create barriers between our authentic self and the world. We create them to protect us from further hurt. However, it has serious consequences, obviously. And as adults, we may be convinced that we've moved on from these, past experiences and traumas. We may even judge our childhood harshly. Or judge our child self, our inner child, for being too sensitive, being too whiny, being, and we don't have a conscious memory of everything that's happened to us, yet those emotions are stored in our unconscious memory. And that is where the inner child lives. And when we deny the inner child, we are controlled by it. This happens unconsciously. The more we resist, it persists. It also leads to things like addiction, self-destructive behaviors, unhealthy relationships, bad decision-making, unhealthy emotions. So talking a little bit about what inner child therapy looks like, it essentially encourages people to look at their childhoods with honesty and compassion in order to heal. Each of us have 3 personalities. There's our adult self, there's our inner child self, and the third is our ego. And some of the modalities used in this therapy are coaching, meditation, hypnosis, and visualization. We also tap into the subconscious mind through unconscious writing. So if you've ever wondered why you feel emotional or why you always feel anxious and overwhelmed and depressed, and you just feel like there's just something not right, it could be because your inner child's trying to talk to you and you're not listening. Or perhaps your inner child is hurting and wants to be loved and wants to be healed. So, if you're on a journey to self-love, acceptance, and compassion, I invite you to get in touch with me to find out what's possible out of doing this work for yourself. It's not about shutting down that inner child of yours. Quite the opposite, actually. It's about better understanding and appreciating and listening and honoring that part of us that wants to be joyful, and that part of us that wants to feel heard and loved and accepted. So if this resonates with you, I invite you to get in touch with me to find out more. And if you would like that quiz, the archetype quiz, and want to find out which one's yours is, please get in touch with me. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.